All right, let's get into it. ESPN just released their annual top 10 rankings by position in the NFL. And this year's linebacker list turned a lot of heads, especially if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. These rankings are based on votes from NFL coaches, executives, scouts, and personnel staff across the league. Usually there's a solid consensus on who belongs at the top, but not this time. Only 3 linebackers appeared on more than 70% of the ballots. That's right, 3. And a total of 32 different players received at least 1 vote, which basically means every team had at least 1 guy considered. That kind of vote spread tells you one thing: nobody agrees on who the elite linebackers are right now. It's a wide open field. But out of that mess, one name made a strong impression: DeMarvion Overshown from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, let's be real. If someone told you that Overshown, a guy who played in only 13 games last season, would make ESPN's top 10 linebacker list, you'd probably laugh it off. But not only did he make it, he cracked the top 10 in a big way. According to the votes, one person even ranked him as high as number 4. That's huge, especially considering the position is full of big names and former Pro Bowlers. For Overshown to stand out in such a crowded and uncertain field says a lot about how he's being viewed across the league. This isn't just Cowboys fans hyping up their guy. This is league-wide recognition. Coaches, scouts, and front office people see something special here. And for Dallas, that's massive. It means they may have found a new cornerstone for their defense, a foundational player they can build around for years to come. Let's talk about the top of the list first. Fred Warner was the easy pick. Nobody had him ranked lower than number 2. Honestly, he probably should have been a unanimous number 1, but either way, he's the clear alpha in this group. Right behind him came Roquan Smith. Then things got wild. Nick Bolton, Frankie Louvu, Tremaine Edmonds, and even Levante David, who by the way is still productive despite being in the twilight of his career, all appeared in that mix. But outside of Warner and Smith, no one was a lock. Most of them were either left off some ballots entirely or ranked wildly differently depending on the voter. That's where Overshown's inclusion becomes so impressive. In a sea of disagreement, his name still rose to the surface. When the experts can't agree on much but still include you among the top 10 after just 13 games, that speaks volumes. One AFC executive summed up the linebacker class like this: it's not an elite group. A lot of the good players are aging, and the younger guys aren't really special. Most of them can be lumped together. And that kind of sentiment makes Overshown's presence in the top 10 even more meaningful. He wasn't just part of the clutter, he was a standout in it. People took notice. One veteran defensive coach in the NFL went even further, calling Overshown one of the most athletic linebackers I've ever seen. That same coach praised his game-changing speed, saying Overshown was starting to get it before his injury. That's the kind of stuff that makes you pause. Because once a player with that level of natural athleticism starts figuring out the mental side of the game, reading offenses, recognizing formations, reacting instinctively, that's when you get a potential superstar. But let's not act like he's a finished product. There are still areas where Overshown needs to grow. One NFC defensive coach mentioned that while Overshown is a monster in man coverage, able to stay with almost any running back or tight end in the league, his zone awareness is lacking. He struggles to disengage from blocks if offensive. Linemen get their hands on him. He's very good at slipping around blocks using his speed and angles, but if he gets caught, it's trouble. That makes sense when you consider his build. He's not your classic old school linebacker, weighing in at 250 pounds. He's lighter, more agile, more explosive, and that's exactly what today's NFL calls for. The days of the thumper linebacker are fading. Now it's about speed, range, and coverage skills. All things Overshown brings to the table. Just to give you a sense of how freakish he is as an athlete, ESPN pointed out one insane stat Overshown led a team. 10 linebackers in average distance traveled per tackle, nearly 19 yards per play. That doesn't mean he was making tackles 19 yards downfield. It means he was covering that much ground flying from one side of the field to the other just to get to the play. That's sideline to sideline speed in action. That's hustle. Awareness and relentless pursuit. That's the kind of stat that coaches drool over. Overshown isn't just reacting. He's diagnosing, chasing, and closing. And he's doing it faster than almost anyone else. The elephant in the room, of course, is his injury. Overshown tore up his knee badly, not just an ACL. We're talking multi-ligament damage. ACL, MCL, PCL, a full-blown explosion. It wasn't the same knee as his previous injury, but this one was worse. The recovery timeline is long. There's hope that he might return around Thanksgiving, but the Cowboys will need to be patient. You don't just bounce back from something like that and pick up where you left off. It takes time conditioning and a lot of mental toughness. But here's the encouraging part. Overshown has already proven he can come back strong. After his previous ACL tear in college, he returned faster than expected and didn't seem to lose a step. If he can do it again, and that's a big if, Dallas could have their playmaker back just in time for the final stretch of the season. Now let's look at the production. In just 13 games, Overshown racked up 90 tackles, 5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 4 pass breakups, an interception, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. That's an incredible stat line for a first-year player. And here's the kicker. He wasn't just showing up in the box score. He was usually the first guy to the football. That matters. Some linebackers pile up stats by cleaning up after everyone else. They're the second guy on the scene, finishing tackles that someone else started. That wasn't Overshown. He was initiating contact, blowing up plays, flying into the backfield, and getting involved in every area of the field. Outside of Micah Parsons, Overshown might have been the most impactful defender on the Cowboys when healthy, but it all comes back to this in a league where nobody seems to know who the top linebackers really are. DeMarvion Overshown made enough noise to earn a spot on that list. He's not just a maybe, he's in the conversation. And if he can bounce back from injury and keep developing, the sky's the limit. Let's keep the focus on what really makes DeMarvion Overshown such a fascinating player. Beyond just his raw athleticism, there's something about the way he approaches the game that separates him from most young defenders. He plays with this controlled chaos, the type of motor that never shuts off, but is starting to get paired with a discipline to be in the right spot at the right time. That's a scary combination for opposing offenses. There are guys who run fast, and then there are guys who play fast. Overshown plays fast. He diagnoses, quickly reacts with no hesitation, and covers ground like few others at his position. You see it on film the moment the ball moves, he's already in motion. It's not just closing speed, it's anticipation. That's why coaches across the league are talking about him. One NFC offensive coach even went as far as to say that Overshown is the second guy you worry about in Dallas after Micah Parsons. That's massive. Think about it. The Dallas Cowboys, one of the most talked about franchises in the NFL, are loaded with playmakers on defense, and this coach is saying that Overshown is already viewed as the second biggest threat behind one of the best defenders in football. That shows the kind of respect he's getting. The coach mentioned his ability to hit hard runs sideline to sideline and stay on the field on third downs thanks to his coverage skills. That kind of versatility is gold in today's NFL. Teams need defenders who can rush cover and clean up in the run game without needing to be subbed out constantly. Overshown brings that, and he's only getting better. But even with all that praise, there are still those real concerns that come with being an undersized linebacker. He doesn't have the sheer bulk that old school defensive coordinators used to love. He's not going to be stacking up guards and winning hand fights in the trenches. That's not his game, and that's okay. Football has evolved. Offensive schemes are spreading defenses out, speeding up tempo, and forcing players to cover more ground than ever. The demand now is for speed, fluid hips, and the ability to cover in space. That's Overshown's wheelhouse. But for him to hit his ceiling, he has to tighten up in 2 key areas: zone coverage awareness and block shedding. Those are the critiques that keep popping up. He can hang in man coverage all day. Put him one-on-one with a tight end or a back and he's comfortable. But when it comes to understanding spacing, passing off routes in zone, and reacting to quarterback, he's still learning. The good news is that's a teachable skill. That comes with reps, film study, and coaching. The block shedding, that's tougher because it's physical. It's about technique, sure, but it's also about body mass and strength. He's excellent at slipping blocks, dipping around them, using his speed and angles to avoid contact altogether. But when an offensive lineman does get his hands on Overshown, he can get neutralized. That's not a knock on his toughness or effort. It's just physics. There are ways to mitigate it. Smarter leverage, better hand usage, keeping your chest clean. But it's something that has to be developed over time. You don't fix that overnight. Still, when you add everything up, the upside is clear. There aren't many linebackers with his speed, length, instincts, and aggression who are still this early in their development. He's not a finished product, but the foundation is special. Now, let's get into what Overshown's presence means for the Cowboys as a whole, because his breakout doesn't just help the linebacker room. It shifts the entire identity of the defense. Dallas has built its recent defensive success around speed and chaos. It starts with Micah Parsons, who's basically a human mismatch. But as teams start to adjust and focus on Parsons, the Cowboys need other guys who can exploit that attention. Overshown can be that player. He's the one who can clean up the backside of plays chased down quarterbacks, flushed out of the pocket by Parsons, and drop into coverage while others blitz. His emergence gives Dan Quinn or any defensive coordinator more flexibility to disguise. Looks, rotate packages, and keep offenses guessing. And let's not forget what the numbers look like before the injury. In just 13 games, Overshown stacked stats that would have projected to elite levels over a full season. 90 tackles, 5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 4 pass breakups, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, and 1 recovery. That's a line most veterans would be proud of. And these weren't empty numbers. Overshown was showing up on third downs in the red zone during key drives. He was making impact plays when it mattered most. There's something different about a player who doesn't just put up numbers, but actually affects the outcome of games. And he was starting to become that kind of player. That's why his injury stings so much. You could see it all coming together. The instincts were sharpening, the athleticism was on full display, and the coaching staff clearly trusted him. And then the knee went. Not just a minor tweak or sprain, it was a catastrophic multi-ligament tear, ACL, MCL, PCL. The kind of injury that makes you cringe just hearing it. These are the types of setbacks that derail careers. But Overshown isn't your typical player. This is someone who already battled back from a previous ACL tear and returned even faster. His work ethic is undeniable. His mental toughness off the charts. And while the timeline to return from this latest injury is longer and more complex, there's no reason to doubt that he'll attack rehab the same way he plays full throttle. What will be key for the Cowboys is managing expectations. Just because Overshown might be cleared medically doesn't mean he'll instantly be the same guy. It takes time to rebuild trust in your body, to get the explosiveness back, and to find that game rhythm again. And the Cowboys need to be patient, because if they are, and he regains even 90% of his form, that's still one of the most dynamic young linebackers in the league. That's someone who can anchor the second level of the defense for years. And when you think about a core built around Micah Parsons, Trevin Diggs, Darren Bland, and DeMarvion Overshown, that's the type of unit that can not only compete but dominate. It's also worth noting how Overshown's mindset fits the Dallas culture. He's a film junkie. He's vocal. He's physical. He brings energy every snap. That's infectious. That's the kind of guy who elevates everyone else around him. It's not just about making plays. It's about setting the tone. And Overshown was doing that from the jump. You could see it last season, the intensity, the swagger, the leadership starting to emerge. And when that's coming from a younger guy, it has even more weight. Because veterans respect someone who earns it on the field. Overshown did. So now the big question becomes, what does the future hold? Assuming the rehab goes well, Overshown will eventually return to a defense that's still stacked with talent and primed for a deep playoff run. His role might be different at first. Maybe fewer snaps, maybe more sub packages while he builds back up. But once he's fully reintegrated, he should resume being the kind of player who can wreck a drive all by himself. Whether it's blowing, up a screen tracking down a quarterback, or knocking the ball loose on a swing pass, Overshown has that game-changing gear. And the Cowboys will need it. Because in the NFC, the path to a championship goes through offenses like the 49ers, the Eagles, and whoever emerges in the NFC North. These are physical, fast, multi-dimensional attacks. You don't stop them with just talent. You need versatility, intelligence, and speed at every level of the defense. Overshown gives you all three. He can blitz, cover, spy, and chase. He's not limited to one role. He's the type of piece you move around like a chess piece depending on the matchup. And as he continues to mature mentally, the game will only slow down more for him. That's when you'll start seeing the full impact of what he brings. So here's the bottom line. DeMarvion Overshown made the ESPN top 10 linebacker list after just 13 games. That alone is impressive. But what makes it even more significant is that it wasn't based on hype. It wasn't based on draft pedigree or college stardom. It was based on what people inside the NFL saw with their own eyes: a freak athlete, starting to figure it out, making plays and turning heads. And if he can come back healthy and continue that trajectory, we might be looking at the next big defensive star in Dallas, the kind of player who changes the way opposing offenses game plan, the kind of player who helps define a new era of Cowboys football. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as, well, whispers are swirling in the NFL world about a potential blockbuster move that could reshape the Dallas Cowboys receiving core. Rumors suggest that George Pickens and AMARI Cooper might be joining forces in Dallas, creating a dynamic duo of wide receivers that could bring a triumphant resurgence to the star-studded franchise. Though nothing is confirmed yet, the mere possibility has already ignited excitement among fans and analysts alike. George Pickens, known for his explosive athleticism and highlight reel catches, has been turning heads since his entrance into the league. His ability to stretch the field and make contested grabs makes him a valuable asset for any offense looking to revitalize his passing game. Meanwhile, AMARI Cooper, a seasoned veteran with a reputation for crisp route running and dependable hands, has consistently been one of the NFL's most reliable wideouts throughout his career. The thought of these two talents joining forces in the Cowboys' offense has sparked a buzz about what their combined presence could mean for the team's trajectory. The Cowboys, who have been eager to bolster their receiving options, might see this rumored tandem as the perfect answer to their offensive ambitions. Cooper's experience and leadership, paired with Pickens' youthful energy and upside, could create a complementary dynamic capable of elevating Dallas's aerial attack to new heights. This potential pairing could also provide quarterback Dak Prescott with a diverse and dangerous receiving core, improving the team's chances of competing deep into the postseason. While negotiations remain under the radar and no official statements have been made, insiders hint that discussions are ongoing and both players are intrigued by the idea of teaming up in Dallas. The Cowboys front office is reportedly impressed by Pickens' rapid development and sees Cooper as a stabilizing presence who can mentor younger receivers. If this deal comes to fruition, it could mark a significant turning point in the Cowboys' quest for a championship. Of course, the NFL is a league of surprises, and nothing is ever certain until contracts are signed. But the buzz surrounding George Pickens and AMARI Cooper joining forces has already captured the imagination of fans craving a reinvigorated Dallas offense. Should this rumor become reality, the Cowboys might just have their most exciting receiving duo in years, signaling a triumphant return to prominence on the national stage. For now, all eyes remain on the Dallas front office, waiting to see if they will pull the trigger on this potentially game-changing move. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.